Tonight's video, live around 5, is look for the helpers, because as you may know, we had an indescribable tragedy in our hometown, and I wanted to share some of the incredible wisdom that's been shared with me over the years in the event that it's helpful for you. Inevitably, tragedy can strike all of us. It might be individual, it might be community-wide, it might be internationally, but we all deal with things that are shocking and difficult to manage, unfortunately, all too regularly. So the first thing I would recommend is that you do look for the helpers, that there are helpers that helped at the scene. There are helpers that can help us process what's happening. There are therapists, there are friends, there are teachers, and you yourself might be a helper. But don't feel so isolated in the urgency of the emergency that you forget that most people are good. Most people are kind. Most people are brave. The people that ran to help are brave and kind, and we thank them, and they are helpers, right? The second thing I would say is that be a good steward of information. It's really interesting for some people. People want to know what's happening, especially if there's a manhunt, as was in this case, and you're worried about, are your neighbors safe? Are you safe? You want to reshare information as quickly as you can. But it only takes one more minute to be sure that the information that you're sharing is indeed accurate to the best of your ability, right? And so imagine that the families of victims are reading the things you post as well. So think about your audience. Think about the importance of the accuracy of what you might share, and be thoughtful about sharing things that might be upsetting or might be inaccurate. I would say be thoughtful of children, right? Maybe it's our own children in our homes. Maybe it's kids that you might be talking around if you're a teacher at school or a child daycare. And children are going to hear what happened, right? We no longer live in an age where we can kind of keep things quiet. They're going to hear about it at school, and it's best if they hear about it from us authentically, directly, and with as age appropriate as we can. But I think it's really important when something like this happens, sometimes we get caught up. I remember my kids were young around 9/11, and of course they ended up seeing the videos, even though we tried so hard to keep them from it when they were so small. But they were being shown at school because we were all in shock. Nobody knew what was happening. It was so upsetting, and in most emergencies and situations that can be the case. So just be thoughtful of who's around you. Remember, if you need self-care, to really get on top of it. And self-care can be everything from a hot bath to some bubble time. We talk about bubble time here a lot as a tool, where the concept is that you give yourself a mental break, whether it's an emergency like this or stress around a job or stress around a relationship. You can have periods of time where you just say, I'm just not going to fixate on that right now. I'm going into a bubble. That bubble is going to be a safe space. And if those intrusive thoughts come into your head, you simply recognize them and say, I'm not managing that right now. I need a break. I need self-care. It may range all the way up to getting help from a therapist. If you're regular on my channel, you know that I absolutely recommend BetterHelp. I've got an incredible therapist from there that's really helping me work through success and struggles and failures and relationships, and we all have something to deal with, right? And having somebody who is qualified walk you through that can really be incredibly helpful. So self-care. And then I would also say to reach out. Whether you're reaching out because you need help, maybe you're talking to a friend, your spouse, a colleague, or all the way up to getting actual professional help, or whether you're the one reaching out. One of the things that came to mind for us today are the people that may live alone and may feel really isolated and scared, and what we could do to reach out to our friends that we knew were in that situation and just provide some comfort and tell them we're checking on them, we're thinking about them, are they okay? And let them process with us a little bit, right? Let them share how they're feeling. For families that have students at the school, to make sure, hey, how is your kid doing? Are you okay? How are you feeling? So whether you're reaching out to get help or you're reaching out to be a helper, reach out. And the bottom line is there's no right way to do this. So it's important that we don't judge ourselves or other people for what we perceive to be the right way to grieve, right? This is unimaginable. No one should ever experience this. And yet we experience it all the time. So learning how to move through that as a family, as a person, as a professional. Professors are going to have to teach tomorrow. Police officers are going to police tomorrow. EMTs are going to do runs tomorrow. And every single one of these people has absolutely seen the worst thing in the world. The families of the victims, all I can say is that we will never forget. We will always remember. We will honor your children's memory, and we will hold it dear. Our community is really strong. Charlottesville has been through a lot, and we will get through this. Godspeed to the incredible human beings that were lost today, and Godspeed to you for whatever you're going through in this small town, so that we all can get to the other side. Have an amazing night. Have a peaceful night. Have a safe night. Look forward to seeing you back here, live around 5. I love you guys.